In this video, let's study a vector data type provided by the C++ library. We are going to learn very few things which is sufficient for doing chapter 6 code lab. Vector is a data type. It's like a storage, but it's a flexible array like that. The difference between a vector and array is a fixed size. So when you declare array, you need to specify the size. But the vector, the size is automatically managed, so you don't have to declare size yourself. So to use a vector type, we need to include a vector library. Then define a variable of a vector using type of vector and the name of the variable. But here, when you declare an array, you specify type of the data in the array. Similarly, in the vector, you specify type in angle bracket. So here, I'm going to create a vector A named V where I can store integer data like an array, but the size is automatically managed. So at the very beginning, I can check how many elements are in the vector V. Then we need to call member function called size. Here, member function means this function is defined within a vector type only. So you can call this function only from a vector type variable. Then in this variable, how many elements are stored so far is returned. So if we compile the program, and then run it as we expect the 0, there is no data entered so far. So how do you enter a data into a vector is a push back member function. So using push back, you can store 10 and then 20. Let's add one more, 3, and then one more, 40. So as you call pushback, those data are stored in order, and then you can imagine internally it's more like an array. So as I create a v variable of a vector type, a storage is created where those 4 integers are stored in order. So 10, 20, 30, 40 are stored, and then internally those are managed by the position. So at this one is at index 0, 1, 2, 3, and the like. So at this moment, if I check the size of the vector v, then I would expect 4. So let's compile the program and then run it. So size is 4. Now data are stored. We can have access to that. Let's print each element in the vector one by one like an array. So let's have a loop at index 0 up to index 3 because we have 4 data there. Then to print, you can use a vector name and then do that as if it's an array, meaning that using square bracket, you can have access to members, each member of the vector using a v. So let's compile and run it. So 10, 20, 30, 40 are displayed. Also, you can have access to each member using a member function. So let me give a blank here, and then let's call member function called at. Since it's a function inside the parentheses, you give a index or position of the element. Then what you get is exactly the same things as you compile and run. So those two values, the same values, are displayed on the same line. So you can have access to the member using array-like notation or member function at. So once you have data stored, you can have access with array-like notation. Similarly, you can change the value using array-like notation. So v1 at index 1, let's change it to 999. Then as we compile the program and then run it, what you get is at index 1, we have a 999. And then another function, member function available in vector is that you can physically take the data out. So here, now if I do v dot pop back, pop back physically removes the last data in the vector. So at this moment, the 40 is the last data. So 40 is removed. So we can verify that by checking the size. So let's say after pop, let's just check the size of that. And then let's display what we got in the vector. So let's display only up to size, less than size. Then what you get is, as we compile and then run it, so after pop, size is 3, so only 3 data are displayed. So this is a very brief introduction to a vector data type, and these are sufficient for chapters 3 code lab and the vector portion of the questions.